Hey Leo, Madeline here to give you your astrological report for the month of May 2025. And there is a big transit happening this month in from Saturn. And I will go ahead and share the screen so you know what I'm talking about. Currently, we have Saturn in the eighth house, and it's going to be moving into your ninth house, which is going to be a very significant shift and change in your focus and where you put a lot of your hard work. But first of all, we're going to talk about the sun currently in your 10th house, which puts a lot of focus and vitality in your career and, shall we say, hard work effort. You just had a new moon there at the end of the month of April, which would have initiated a new opportunity or a new long-term positive, auspicious beginning. And as the sun moves into your 11th house, this new opportunity, you either get it out onto social media, or you start networking, or you go on some sort of interview with a new company, or you are opening a social media platform or networking to advertise and promote your new beginning that occurred on the Taurus New Moon in your 10th house. So, Leo, you're ruled by the sun. So wherever the sun goes is absolutely your focus, 100%. So you're going to shift in this month from focus on hard work onto the career. Perhaps if you're in a corporate setting, you get a promotion. If you are self-employed, you become more recognized and seen. This new beginning is a reflection of you gaining more notoriety. Then when the sun moves into your 11th house, it's more social times. And like I just said, not to repeat, but just to get this clarified, then you go into some sort of marketing venture, promotion, humanitarian cause, bringing your new beginning into the world to serve and bring into more recognition and to have it be seen, advertised, promote, social media. Then you've got your Mercury in the ninth house, which it begins there in the month, and then mid-month it's going to move into your 10th house and be there with the sun, which again is sort of making things busier, more communication, email. It sort of brings you into that 11th house energy. Mercury and the sun are going to move into your 11th house around the same time, where you get busy communicating, again, selling, advertising, promoting, social media, networking, also just a lot more socializing in general. I always notice when the sun moves from Capricorn into Aquarius, all of a sudden people are out and socializing. So anyway, and Aquarius is the energy of the 11th house. So Aquarius is the 11th sign of the zodiac. All right, so Venus starts off in your ninth house. Perhaps you're traveling, or you are dating you're starting a romance with someone from another culture, or you are coming into some sort of agreements, financial agreements, partnership agreements, the law. If you're involved in law, that could be like a new client coming in, a law case. Um, but let's just say there's the aesthetics, being interested in other cultures, perhaps traveling and learning about other cultures, or discovering, taking initiative, because it's in the sign of Aries, to discover what you truly desire in philosophy, spirituality, or in a relationship. Ninth house can be a later or second marriage. So then we've got Mars in your first house, really firing you up, giving you a lot of energy and charge and motivation. It is trining that ninth house. So there's a good chance there's possible romantic relationship fires up here, or the romance in your relationship fires up as you travel and you take a little bit of a time together. But there's a lot of energy charging in your first house for the entire time until June 17th, when Mars moves into your second house of financing. So there's some sort of confidence being built, and self-promotion and inspiration and initiative to get yourself going and motivated and inspired about these new beginnings, perhaps something inspired from that ninth house. Spiritual, higher consciousness, higher vision, higher ideals. And Aries, Neptune is up there too. So things are going to get very spiritual for Leo, where they sort of discover a higher plane to exist on with Neptune in your ninth house. You discover spirituality, or a version of shall we say, the importance of the more higher consciousness realms, and to follow a dharmic path. and to have spiritual growth, and there's some sort of spiritual, you experience spiritual liberation, which means you break from the ego, the limited mind of the ego. So that's what the ninth house does. So then you're going to have Jupiter in Gemini in your 11th house, and then that's going to move into Cancer into your 12th house on June 9th. But there again, that is a lot of energy. I think when the Sun and Mercury join with Jupiter, you are really getting out there. Plus, yeah, you're really getting out there. Uranus is going to move in there in July too, but you're definitely promoting, writing, interacting with people, doing media, social media, writing. It is time to promote something and get something out there and to mix in the society and in the community and bring something that you have out into the world. And then with that Saturn moving from, this is the biggie now, when Saturn, this is why it's interesting that you've got these um, planets, Mercury and Venus, starting the month out in the sign of Aries, where Saturn is about to go, because something happens with Mercury and Venus and Neptune in your Aries that gives you a vision of what you truly desire, and some sort of inspired new higher reach, something to reach higher, because the ninth house is a dharma house. It's about your calling. So you want to reach a higher, you want to create a better legacy. You want to reach for your true calling, your true purpose, which is the higher version of you, your gifted self, the most gifted aspect of you. And it's going to involve connecting with the higher realm or the unseen or the inspired, the higher mind, the inspired source coming from a passionate Leo, fire inspired. So this is coming. These are new beginnings. When Saturn goes into Aries, it's a 30-year cycle. We're beginning a new cycle, and Saturn in Aries wants to, as with Neptune, there wants to structure and give you grounded discipline, slowing you down to really focus on these ninth house areas in your life, which would be to either learn to become more of a master at something, a craft that you have already, to learn and become higher, more knowledgeable, more philosophically aware, higher consciousness, spiritual evolution. I just had Saturn is exiting my ninth house, and I have had an incredible amount of education about spirituality, the source, Christian religions. I mean, I've learned so much about spirituality, and it has really put me more on a attitude, or shall we say clarity, to really walk forward on this path and be a part of expanding that knowledge in the world, or be a part of expanding spirituality as we enter the new era of more spirituality. So that is my dharma. I have my moon, my MC, in my ninth house in the sign of Pisces. So I had a lot of activation there with Saturn on all those planets in the last 2.5 to 3 years. And by the way, Saturn stays in a house for 2.5 to 3 years. So for 2.5 to 3 years, you're going to be really focused on learning something, studying. Now, if you're far enough and you're already a master, you transform from student to master. Then you become the teacher. You're an authority about something. Or it can prevent you from teaching until you do become more of an authority, or you become more, shall we say, confident about your material. Or there's just, you haven't lined up yet with your dharmic purpose and what you are really here to teach. And during Saturn in your ninth house, you're going to become very passionate about learning something, which then qualifies you to become the teacher of what you are here to teach, if you have planets there. So that's hard work too. When you have Saturn in the ninth house, you go through a lot of old ideas crashing, old beliefs crashing, big sort of sudden wake ups, sudden sort of realizations, and then waking up to being devoted and wanting to follow the Saturnian, in other words, wanting to get your knowledge down and find the solid truth. It really is about the truth and discovering the truth, and then structuring your life around that truth and what you discover when you have Saturn in the ninth house for 2.5 to 3 years. So then I'm going to skip over the outer planets because we're going to talk about those as they shift into the other signs. But Pluto is going to go retrograde. And when Pluto goes retrograde, there's this internal transformation occur. We have to go back. Pluto's going to go back over where we've traveled. When Pluto moved into Aquarius, we've done some healing, some work where we've taken our power back. In some way, we're working on some area that we're working on in our shall we say, transformation that's occurring as we transform into the age of Aquarius. We're more empowered. We have to be very empowered to be, we're individual people. 11, empowered people by themselves, their higher self, not leaning on an authority, a material, um, oppressive force or trying to align with a material doctrine or something like that. We're really aligned with our higher mind, God, astrology, because astrology is God's scripture in the sky for all to see. It's accessible to everybody. It's not a cult because there's not one person. All astrologers are saying, we're saying the exact same thing that's happening mechanically and chemically, but we say it in a slightly different way and we focus on slightly different aspects of these transits. But anyway, the North Node. So, Pluto in retrograde, you're going to go back and you're going to do some more work. There's a little bit more work to do in that area of the sky where Pluto has transited on anything that has occurred, shall we say, triggering or pain or psychological upset, that kind of a thing that's come up, subconscious issues that still need a little work on. Pluto's going to go back. We're going to go internal. We're going to work on these things a little bit more. We're going to find our power. We're going to feel very empowered around it. And then Pluto goes forward as it passes the same degree point. Now we're cleared of this. So there's a little bit more work to do. So anyway, with as Pluto goes retrograde, then we've got the North Node in the 8th house, which is like spirituality, boy. Leos are going to be waking up to the powers of the unseen forces, and they're going to go through a big spiritual transformation in the next year because this is going to be there for a year. And so what happens is there's going to be some sort of an awakening to the powers at play in the 8th house, which is the hidden. So you're going to wake up to there's being hidden powers in support of you, because wherever the North Node goes, we get universal support, and the 8th house is fear-based attachments. So the Leos are going to wake up probably because of the eclipses are going to be there in the Virgo Pisces axis, where you are really afraid and your fears about money really come up to the surface and you're really rattled. And then guess what happens? You're fine every time. Every one of these eclipses that scares you, you discover you're okay and there's a way through and you actually thrive. You're thriving, and every time, and then you kind of go, wow, there is somebody helping me out down. There is an unseen force at play in my life that's protecting me, that I'm on the right path. If you're on the wrong path, then these eclipses will send you onto the right path. And because this is a house of debt too, and taxes and stressful financial, shall we say, chaotic or crises or complications. But with the North Node there's spiritual growth around these, and you become liberated in the end of this transit, liberated of all that fear. And you start to have more trust in the universe, and you release attachment to your money, and you allow the monies to flow, and there's a freer energy. That's why it's a moksha house, because it's liberated. You liberate after a transit in your 8th house. You release and liberate and feel free. All right, so then we're going to have a full moon it's funny because there's a full moon in the Scorpio house, Scorpio full moon at 22 degrees, which is similar energy. It is the Pluto, ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is the 8th house. So you may definitely get triggered in that full moon because it squares the nodes actually, because the nodes are going to be at about 25 degrees. This is a 22 degree. So you are going to get a square there. So you absolutely will be triggered around debt and money and taxes and money coming in, that something you have to spend money on, or a tax bill, or you're just freaked out about your taxes. Anyway, bottom line is there will be a way through whatever crisis shows up on this full moon. And again, on the other side, you break through, because what you were trying to fit, when you have this kind of a transit, you're trying to fit your life in a tight little money box, and you're feeling really tight and you're scared, and then something comes up that's like a crisis, and then, oh my God, there goes your money. It's all a mess and you don't even know. You've lost complete control. Like, forget it. I was saving this money for this. I have to spend it on this. And it's that kind of an energy. And then you just go, oh well. And then the next thing you know, all of a sudden this abundance starts coming in, these opportunities, and your money well just fills back up. And you're like realizing, wow, I just needed to let go. It's all going to flow back. And that's money is like it's a flowing energy. It's energy, you know. So it's not material. And that's why these eighth house transits show you that your financial security is based on your connection to the unseen forces and knowing that they're there for you. Astrology and tarot is faith restorative practices. They connect you with the unseen force, and then you know everything's okay, or you know why you're going through what you're going through. Usually Saturn holds things back, and if you see a Saturn transit, you're like, okay, it's not forever. It's just during this transit. And there's a reason for it. And then you understand it. So, and then we have the new moon in your 11th house. So when the sun and Mercury move in there, you're setting up, you're meeting people and you're collaborating, or you're meeting a tribe, or you're advertising, you're selling things, you're promoting your creative projects or products. And you are a very, again, with that Mars in your first house, you're taking initiatives, you're fired up, you're inspired, you might be really racy talky with that Mercury. Well, Mercury's in Aries. But anyway, new moon in your 11th house as a result of all of that work and effort that occurred from your 10th to your 11th, those planets shifting, you now have new beginnings, new opportunity comes in, new meetings, meeting new people. Perhaps on social media, you meet financial support, but usually not 11th house transits bring our dreams to reality. They bring our long-term wishes and goals into the material. And so that new moon will be a really wonderful opportunity that shows up as a result of that networking that occurred when the sun and Mercury moved into your 11th house before at the middle of the month. All right. If you would like a personal reading, feel free to reach out and contact me. And also do like and subscribe and leave a comment. And if you have any questions, feel free. And also, this is just a rough look at what's happening. It is very much different when you pull your own personal chart. If you have a square to Saturn or something like that, you'll experience a slightly different, it could be a tougher experience, but it's always good to get your chart read and to understand how these big shifts are impacting you in your life. All right. Thanks for watching. Namaste.